Lately, I feel like something deeply unsettling is moving under the surface of this storyline. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, the situation with Brennan, Nina, Valentine, Carly, Willow, and Jocelyn is starting to look less like a simple cover up and more like a dangerous power game where the manipulator may finally become the one being manipulated. What makes this situation so intense for me is that Brennan has always felt like the kind of character who believes he is several steps ahead of everyone else. He knows how to pressure people. He knows how to collect leverage. He knows how to make others feel trapped. But now, I think the tables may be turning on him in a brutal way. The idea that Brennan could be forced to choose between cooperation and death changes the whole energy of the story. In my interpretation, this is not just about keeping him quiet. This is about breaking his control. Right now, the key moment seems to be Nina stabbing Brennan with a syringe containing a paralyzing drug. I think that scene is important because it shows how far Nina has been pushed. Nina is not acting from calm strategy anymore. At least, that is how I see it. She is acting from desperation, fear, and the need to protect herself and Willow. When Brennan collapses or becomes paralyzed, I can imagine Valentine being shocked, maybe even horrified for a moment, because he may initially believe Nina has poisoned him. And honestly, I think that reaction would make sense. Nina's move is extreme, impulsive, and dangerous. But then Nina explaining that the drug is meant to paralyze Brennan opens an even bigger door. In my opinion, this could expose the darker secret that Drew has also been receiving paralyzing drugs daily. I feel like this detail could create a chain reaction. Valentine's daughter, and Carly could all be stunned, not just because of what Nina did to Brennan, but because it suggests this situation is bigger and more twisted than they first understood. I think that revelation could make everyone realize that they are already too deep in the mess to simply walk away. And that is where I think the real conflict begins. What do they do with Brennan? In my opinion, letting Brennan go would be almost impossible from Nina's point of view. If Brennan walks free, Nina's crime could be exposed. Valentine is already a fugitive, so I think he would immediately understand that Brennan's freedom could send him straight back to prison. Carly could also face serious trouble if she is seen as someone who helped, enabled, or covered up what happened. And then there is Willow. I feel like Nina's greatest fear may not even be prison for herself. I think her deepest fear is Brennan using that video evidence to accuse Willow and destroy whatever future Willow still has. That is why, in my interpretation, holding Brennan captive may feel like the only option left. I do not see Nina as someone who wants to become a full villain here, but I do think she is capable of justifying almost anything when she believes she is protecting her family. I feel like this is classic Nina. Emotional, protective, reckless, and convinced that one more bad decision might somehow fix the last bad decision. Valentine's role is even more fascinating to me. I think Valentine may initially take on the job of watching Brennan because he understands the stakes better than anyone. He knows what Brennan can do. He knows how dangerous it would be if Brennan starts talking. But if Valentine later releases Brennan, I think Nina's anger would be explosive. I can imagine Nina confronting him, demanding to know why he would let their biggest threat walk out. And I think Valentine's answer could completely shift the storyline. In my opinion, Valentine may not release Brennan because he has gone soft. I think he may release him because he believes he has already controlled him. That is the twist I find most interesting. Brennan, the man who usually manipulates others, could become trapped in Valentine's game. Valentine may understand that Brennan is not someone you control with friendship or promises. He may believe Brennan can only be controlled through fear, pressure, and a very direct threat. I feel like Valentine could make Brennan understand that if he exposes Nina, if he sends Valentine back to prison, if he drags Carly into charges, or if he moves against Willow, the consequences could be deadly. I am not saying this is what is officially happening. This is just my interpretation. But I think Brennan may believe the threat because he knows Valentine, Nina, and Carly are not in a normal emotional state. They are cornered, and cornered people in Port Charles often become far more dangerous than professional criminals. Brennan may realize that this is not just a bluff. He may look at Nina's actions, Valentine's history, and Carly's protective instincts and decide that survival matters more than revenge. That is why I think Brennan may accept being manipulated, at least temporarily. Not because he suddenly trusts Valentine, not because he forgives Nina, and definitely not because he has lost his own agenda. I think he may cooperate because the alternative is worse. In my opinion, Brennan could decide that staying alive, staying useful, and staying close to the situation gives him more power in the long run than immediately exposing everyone. But I also think this cooperation could benefit Brennan in another way. If Brennan is about to become a suspect in the attack and kidnapping involving Jocelyn, then working with Valentine's group could help him shift the narrative. I feel like Brennan may see a chance to prove, or at least suggest, that he is not the biggest threat in this particular crisis. Helping find and rescue Jocelyn could give him temporary protection. It could make Carly hesitate. It could make Valentine keep him alive. And it could give Brennan a reason to position himself as necessary. In my opinion, that is where the story could become extremely dramatic. Brennan and Valentine hate each other, or at least deeply distrust each other, but they may be forced into an alliance. I think the hatred between them could be pushed aside because Jocelyn's life may become the immediate priority. Carly would never calmly accept anything that puts Jocelyn in danger. I feel like Carly might be willing to work with almost anyone, even someone she does not trust, if it means getting her daughter back safely. That is also why Sidwell and Cullum's faction could become the bigger target. I think the story may be moving toward a temporary alliance where Brennan, Valentine, Nina, and Carly are all tied together by fear, guilt, and necessity. They may not trust each other, but they could all want the same outcome: rescue Jocelyn and take down the people behind the attack and kidnapping. In my opinion, that kind of uneasy alliance is exactly the kind of drama General Hospital loves to build, because every person in the room has a secret, every alliance has a knife hidden behind it, and every rescue mission can turn into betrayal. I also think Nina's guilt could become a major emotional thread. Even if Brennan agrees to cooperate, I do not think Nina can simply relax. She has crossed a line by using that syringe. She may tell herself it was necessary, but I feel like the consequences could haunt her. If Willow finds out more, if Carly begins to question Nina's choices, or if Valentine starts making darker moves in Nina's name, Nina may realize that protecting Willow has turned into something far more dangerous than she intended. Valentine, on the other hand, may become colder and more strategic. I think he could convince himself that he is doing what must be done. In his mind, controlling Brennan may be the cleanest solution. But I feel like Valentine's problem is that he often believes he can control the board better than anyone else. And when characters in Port Charles think that way, the board usually burns. As for Brennan, I do not think he would stay controlled forever. I think he may play along, smile when necessary, and even help rescue Jocelyn if that serves him. But in my opinion, Brennan is not the kind of man who forgets humiliation. If Valentine forces him into submission, Brennan may remember every word, every threat, every moment of weakness. I could see him waiting for the perfect time to strike back. So, according to my personal speculation, the next stage of this story may not be about whether Brennan is free or captive. I think it may be about who truly controls him, and whether anyone can control him for long. Nina may believe silence is survival. Valentine may believe fear is control. Carly may believe saving Jocelyn comes before everything else. Brennan may believe cooperation is just another form of strategy. And I could be wrong, but I feel like this entire situation is building toward one dangerous question. If Brennan agrees to help them now, is he really becoming their ally? Or is he simply waiting for the moment when he can turn everyone's secrets against them?
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.